Good morning, Malacañang Press Corps. Welcome sa regular press briefing ni Presidential Spokesperson Ernesto Abella. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. This morning we're blessed to have Secretary Jess Dureza to be with us. Blessed. As we continue sharing snapshots of the Duterte administration's one-year accomplishments leading to the State of the Nation address, we're fortunate to have Office of the Presidential Advisor on the peace process. He will highlight OPAPP's first-year accomplishments, just a brief outline, results of the peace talks with several groups, and other efforts of the government to achieve just and lasting peace. All these undertakings aim to bring about a comfortable life for all Filipinos. Ladies and gentlemen, Secretary Dureza.
Morning, everyone. Thank you. Spoke ba yun? I spoke eh. Ernie, Abella, and members of the press, glad to be back here in very familiar grounds, which I occupied for some time in the past. But we have I have a very able successor in the person of Ernie, whom we knew not only in our work here in the palace with the president. We've gone back a long time in our college days at the Ateneo de Davao. I don't know who's older now, but we share the same kind of childhood upbringing. So I'm glad to be here, and just a very briefer on our work in the peace process. And I'm sure you don't need updating because you have closely tracked what we are doing in OPAPP, in the work with the Moro Islamic Liberation Front. We have already worked on getting the Bangsamoro Transition Commission craft replacement bill to the failed BBL that will implement the Bangsamoro Agreement, the comprehensive agreement on the Bangsamoro, or the CAB of the MILF. And I'd like to let you know that the turnover of the output of the BTC will happen at 5:30 in the afternoon of July 17 here in the palace. The BTC will turn over to the president the copy of their work that had been done over the past few months. In our work with the MNLF of Chairman Nurmiswari, as you know already that he has not converged with us in the work on the BBL, except one sector of the MNLF headed by Yusuf Jikiri. We have also opened up a separate track with Chairman Nurmiswari. Hopefully, they will be able to come up with their own recommendations on what could be their amendment to the present autonomous region for Muslim Mindanao under Republic Act 9054. The convergence with the MNLF track and the MILF track hopefully will happen in Congress. In the case of the Communist Party of the Philippines National Democratic Front, NDF, the talks, as you know, had been suspended in the fifth round. And the reason for that, as you know, was because, according to the president, we need the so-called enabling environment conducive to peace negotiations. At the time, the assessment was that the environment was not yet conducive to continuing the fifth round. So right now, efforts are ongoing on a back channel in order to possibly come up with that enabling environment that would make it, for us in the Philippine side, ready to meet again on the fifth round of talks. On the matter of engaging the public, because as you know very well, our thrust at OPAPP is that while we engage the smaller table composed of the rebel groups, the bigger table is the public. And even if I sign 100 peace agreements, if the public doesn't support it, it will all be for nothing. That's the reason why in our work, engaging the rebel groups or those who would like to engage us in a peaceful engagement, we are also engaging the public. That's why we have peace tables We have a peace panel, a panel that would engage the indigenous peoples or the Lumads, because for a while they thought that they are not being included in our engagement. So inputs will also be coming from that IP table that we have also organized. So that is where we are today, and I'd rather probably see any clarificatory questions coming from the media. Thank you very much, everyone.
MPC questions? MPC. JP Bencito, Manila Standard.
Hi, sir. Good morning.
Hi, you're still here.
Yes po.
You've been here before. Many of you.
Sir, after the BBL will be submitted to the president, sir, and then later on it will be converged later in Congress. How do we assure that the failures from the past of the BBL will not be repeated as we work on with Congress by the after Congress assumes this 24th?
Well, let's not preempt Congress. The final arbiter of what could be the configuration of the new law, if at all it will be passed to replace the BBL that did not pass, will all depend on what Congress will do with it. But we are confident that the BTC that had crafted the new one must have taken into account the failures of the past, learning from the past lessons. But I don't know, because up to now, I'd like to confess to you, I have not seen at all a copy of the new BBL that will be submitted to Congress. It will probably after it is submitted to the President that we'll get the chance to take a look at it.
Sir, doon naman po tayo sa MNLF. Sir, how are we exactly working with the faction of Chairman Normiswari? Then, sir, how are we looking forward to a timeline as to when both proposals will be tackled in Congress?
For you to know, I think we've announced it, we have created a panel to engage the MILF. We have also created a separate panel to engage with Chairman Normiswari. Remember, there is a 1996 peace agreement already signed in 1996, but there are still issues on implementation. So we have engaged them. Hopefully, they will be able to come up with their own recommendations. Their recommendation, I think, will deal more on how to amend or revise Republic Act 9054 or the Armed Law. And this will all be submitted to Congress. Again, Congress cannot pass a law only for the MILF and another separate law for the MNLF. There's only one Bangsamoro, territory and nation, they call it. So Congress will have to look at both and then find out how they can harmonize, how they can converge both proposals.
Pero sir, wala ba tayong tinitingnan na timeline talaga as to when kailangan makarating yung both proposals na yun?
Sana naman yung sa MNLF, kasi ang ating roadmap magko-converge sana, baka maya mahuli at nauna yung BBL at na-approve ang BBL, baka huli na yon. Kaya nga, we're hoping that magkaabutan doon sa Kongreso. We don't have timelines. If you ask us, it's as soon as possible. ASAP yun eh. Pero Congress is left to its full discretion on how to deal with the new bill that will be submitted.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. MPC questions? Maricel Halili, TV5.
Sino nagtago ng mikropono? Ayun.
Hi, sir. Good morning. Sir,
Hi.
just a quick question. Will you encourage the President to certify the BBL as urgent?
It can be a way forward, but we'll leave that entirely, of course, to the President to make that determination. As far as OPAPP is concerned, we will recommend that it will be certified as an urgent bill. But as you know very well, the President makes the final call.
Sir, may we know what are your inputs on the State of the Nation address of the President? What do you expect him to discuss during the SONA?
We cannot preempt what the President is going to say on his SONA. But as you know very well, as here monitoring Malacañang, all members of the Cabinet are requested to give their inputs. But the speechwriter of the President will be the one, or his team will be the one that will consolidate all this And I think he will choose, because he cannot mention everything, I think, all that we will be proposing individually as members of the cabinet. But we expect that the president will highlight those that he feels should take precedence or should be important matters to mention.
Sir, for you, what do you think are the significant issues that should be highlighted?
Secret na yun muna. Dahil nagsasubmit pa kami ng input, baka mamaya masabi ko yung highlights namin at hindi yun ang highlight ng presidente. Di ba? So, antayin na lang natin yung final outcome ng kanyang SONA.
Thank you,
Tama
sir.
ba yun, Ernie? Baka mga paunahan ko pa si Spokes Ernie.
Roscos, UNTV. Microphone, please. Thank you.
Hi, sir. Good morning.
Hi,
Sir,
ma'am.
would
You
you
have
know...
new glasses ba or
Dati na
no?
po yan.
Okay.
Tanong
The
lang po
camera
namin-
dapat nakafocus sa'yo para makita yung kagandahan mo.
Okay, sir, would you know kung i-review pa po ng Pangulo yung draft BBL o diretso na po niyang i-endorse sa Congress?
Ang recommendation namin, hindi natin alam din anong gagawin ng Pangulo, di ba? Finally, pero ang aming recommendation is, unlike yung ginawa sa previous administration, na yung proposed BBL, tiningker mo na, inayos-ayos mo na ng palasyo bago pinadala sa Kongreso. Our recommendation is that as soon as the President receives it, he will turn it over to the Speaker of the House and both the Senate President. Pero recommendation namin yan, the President can do whatever he pleases.
Questions? MPC. Nestor Corrales, Inquirer.
Good morning, sir.
morning.
Sir, the President mentioned in an earlier speech that he won't allow the resumption of peace negotiations with communist rebels unless they stop their extortion activities. Did you get any directions or instructions from the President regarding this, or what will be the fate of the fifth round of talks scheduled this August?
Whatever the President says, we take guidance. So kung yun ang sinabi niya, we take guidance from that. That is the reason why probably, I'm not going to preempt the back channel, that will be one item that our back channelers will take up with them. I'd like to tell you in advance that under the CARIL, the Comprehensive Agreement on Respect for Human Rights and Humanitarian Law, signed in 1998, the CPP-NPA and the government of the Philippines committed, and among the provisions there is not to subject civilians and their properties to attack. Very clear. Both sides have committed to that in an old agreement signed as early as 1998. So these are matters that we'll take up with them, hopefully in the back channel that may happen very soon.
Questions? MPC? Ace Romero, Philippine Star.
Sec, may date na ba yung formal resumption ng talks at saka yung back channel talks?
Wala pa po dahil nga yung back channel that will happen very soon at an undetermined date and undetermined venue as yet up to today. We'll prepare if there will be a resumption of the fifth round that we suspended last time, di ba? So wala pa po, but please know that there is really an ongoing effort. Because ang trabaho namin sa OPAPP kasi may mga issues and challenges that we have to meet. For example, the military has its own mandate. Confront the enemy. You know? Sa OPAPP naman, ang trabaho namin, continue the peace at all cost. So this is the orchestra that the President is playing as a conductor. Di ba? Kami lahat, may kanya-kanya kaming instrumento. Dapat naman harmonize yan at the end of the day.
Sec, can you tell us the wisdom behind your recommendation to just forward the BBL draft immediately to the House Speaker and the Senate President instead of the draft being sent to the Office of the President for further review, like what the previous administration did?
Ang ano kasi, pinapangunahan mo yung Department of Government that has the full mandate and authority to deal on a bill. Magpupropose lang ang mga proponents, pero ang Kongreso assembled, House of Representatives muna, or both at the same time and then papasa sa kabila. Eh, hindi yung trabaho ng executive department. The president's decision will come only when both would pass a bill into law, and he will be asked either to approve it or veto it. That is the point of touch for the president. But may I say again, recommendation lang namin yan. Baka the president may have his own wisdom of doing what he thinks is best under the circumstances.
Okay. Questions? Okay, thank you, Presidential Advisor on the Peace Process, Secretary Jesus Dureza.
Salamat naman.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Presidential
You
Spokesperson.
bloom every time I see you, Rocky.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Presidential Spokesperson.
Don't wilt. Just continue blooming.
Thank you.
Salamat, Thank you very much. Ernie.
Presidential Spokesperson Ernesto Abella.
Sige. Few highlights. 3.2-kilometer Laguna Lake Highway is now open. The DPH has officially opened on July 7 the 2 additional eastbound lanes of the Laguna Lake Highway. The 3.2-kilometer road, amounting to 512 million, is part of the Phase 1 and Phase 2 of the Laguna Lake Highway project, shortening the 1-hour travel time from Taytay to Rizal to Bicutan, Taguig by 30 minutes. Also, April foreign direct investment net flow hits 71.1% increase. The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas has reported a 71.7% growth in the Philippines. FDI foreign direct investment net inflow reaching an amount of 874 million for the month of April, higher than the March FDI inflow of 509 million and also the highest so far for this year. This reflects the administration's efforts in enhancing economic growth supported by our strong macroeconomic fundamentals, resulting in sustained FDI inflows and increasing investor confidence. A few questions. We're open to that.
Okay, Pia Gutierrez, ABS-CBN. Microphone, please, Tina. Thank you.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, there are 25 bills that have been passed by Congress, but the president has yet to sign it into law. So may I ask, sir, why is the president taking his time? Does he have issues with those bills?
It's his prerogative to do so. We'll wait until he does. Okay, thank you. Next question.
Sir, yung LEDAC, ano po yung mga status ng mga LEDAC approved na priority bills? And may I also ask, why after yung first meeting noong January, hindi na siya nag-convene when the law expressly states na dapat every quarter nagko-convene yung LEDAC, sir?
I cannot answer for the except that we have been also overtaken by events. This is not meant to disrupt the law, simply just that events have been such that we have to attend to them.
Sir, last na lang po. Where does the president or the palace stand on the feuds of his allies in Congress, particularly Marcos, Fariñas, and Alvarez Florendo? Is the president concerned that will it affect ito yung mga feuds na ito dun sa legislative work? Sorry.
These are things that they have to settle, and I'm sure that they will in time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Pia. Ian?
Good morning po, Yusek. Sir, bukas po is the first-year anniversary of the Hague ruling by the Permanent Court of Arbitration on our dispute with China. Sir, can I get the palace reaction po, or his palace statement po?
Yeah. Regarding this matter, there you go. A year after the ruling of the PCA at The Hague, Philippines and China are now in dialogue. Last May 2017, both countries conducted the first meeting of the Philippines-China Bilateral Consultation Mechanism on the South China Sea, both sides reiterating their commitment to cooperate and to find ways to strengthen the trust and confidence on issues related to WPS. Philippines and China have reviewed their experience on the West Philippine Sea issue, exchanged views on current issues of concern to either side, and they have agreed that they will further discuss mutually acceptable approaches to deal with them. And they have agreed that the next meeting should be in the second half of 2017.
Thank you, Yusek.
Sure.
Tina Panganiban Perez, GMA 7.
Sir, Tina from GMA.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, how are your preparations for the State of the Nation address? And can you expound on the plan to get interpreters for the President?
Regarding the interpreters, I think that's a project of the PCO. It's best referred to them. Thank you.
Sir, do you see a need to get interpreters? For
Well,
this
if they
one?
perceive that it is so, then they will get.
Sir, yung mga details po, have they been worked out, like what will the President wear, etc.?
Those are fine details that would, best left to the opening day itself.
Sir, on another issue, Senator Trillanes says the Ombudsman must hasten its investigation into his complaint against the President after the President admitted that he had stolen before.
I think the senator seems to lack a sense of humor regarding. It was said in jest, obviously.
Okay, AC Nichols. Okay, Roscos, UNTV.
Sir, may mga reports na po na makikipag-meeting si Pangulong Duterte sa majority bloc senators. Can you confirm po? And ang meeting po is about BBL and martial law.
I suppose regarding the BBL, the good secretary has already answered that. There may be a meetup, no? Regarding that. There may be, it may.
Senators and President Duterte will be meeting about the BBL.
There's no information, okay. There's no information regarding that.
Okay, sir.
Let me repeat that for the benefit of the others. They may meet after the submission. Okay, thank you.
Okay, Philip Tubesan.
Good morning, sir. There are proposals for Filipino Muslims to have their own IDs. Ano pong position ng Palasyo dito? Will this help in
The
resolving?
palace's position is really for a national ID. So I think we should leave it at that. For a national ID.
For national. So we're not supporting it.
We're not saying that we're not supporting it, but what we really are emphasizing is a national ID. I think that particular ethnic-centered ID was really a local initiative, and I think it's best that we have the palace's position is that there should be a national ID.
Won't this just aggravate the situation in Marawi?
Which?
Or among Filipino Muslims? I mean,
Which?
The situation in Marawi. I mean,
Look, nobody's pushing for that, okay? As the good director of PNP has already said, this is not a mandate coming from the higher authorities.
Thank you, sir.
Sure.
Okay, follow-up Marawi. Other issue, Dexter Ganibe.
Hi, Sec. Good morning.
Yes, yes.
Sir, represented full cabinet members kahapon sa Ormoc.
Opo.
May mga karagdagang detalye po ba kayong
Yun na po yun. I
share?
think we came up with a statement regarding that matter, and there's nothing to add at this stage. Okay.
Sir, magsasubmit po ng report.
Full report.
Full report.
Yes.
Sir, ano po yung mga pinaka-salient points na nakita po ninyo mismong ang mga cabinet members ang nagpunta doon sa city na talaga
Among
tinamaan?
I think the most prominent was the need for the restoration of energy, and also the one voiced by Mayor Richard Gomez was the need for water.
Okay. Thank you, Dexter. Pia, Rappler.
Hi, sir. Sir, the period of martial law will lapse soon, and there are calls from the Davao business community for martial law to be lifted in Davao City because of its impact on investments and tourism, and for security protocols to just be heightened without martial law. Sir, will the President also consider these concerns aside from the concerns of security officials?
You're referring to the request?
Sir, there's a call from the Davao Chamber of Commerce if martial law can be lifted in Davao City, maintained in areas that have threats and then for security protocols to just be heightened in Davao City without martial law.
It will be his prerogative to respond to that. Thank you.
So, sir, will the President listen to concerns outside of the
He's a person who
security
listens.
sector?
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Pia
Thanks.
Gutierrez.
Sir, regarding yung meeting ng cabinet members with several LGUs sa Leyte kahapon, sir,
Yes.
what were the commitments of our cabinet secretaries to the LGUs? Sir?
I think it will be coming out from the full report, in the full report. But there was if I remember right, Secretary Cusi was still holding on to his commitment that within 10 days the energy should be restored, and that it will be up and moving within the next few days.
Okay, thank you. MPC, JP, my question. Rose? Okay, Dexter?
Sir, ano yung marching order ng Pangulo na pinaabot ng cabinet members doon sa LGU and other members ng cabinet para doon sa pagbangon din ng Ormoc and other areas sa Leyte?
In the same way that the President has made a commitment for example, for Marawi, the same is also this intention for disaster-stricken areas like Ormoc. And that is, of course, the restoration as soon as possible of goods and services so that the normalcy can be restored. Again, this is part of the President's mandate, that President's commitment that all Filipinos should be able to experience a comfortable life for all. And he's pursuing that, and I think it was an excellent representation yesterday, considering the fact that a full complement of secretaries were there representing, and there was a face-to-face meet with the local government units, and there was a healthy dialogue regarding that.
Last part, sir.
Yes.
Nag-request, tulad ng binanggit yun, nag-request sila ng clean and potable water.
Opo.
Ano po sapat po ba yung kagamitan para dun sa paglilinis ng tubig na maaaring mainom?
I forget which department promised that, but first there was the initial quick response is to send a Navy boat with about 10,000 gallons of potable water. But aside from that, the request of the good mayor was would be considered like a medium and long-term program.
Sir, di ba may mga before, may mga tawag doon yung water filtration facilities sa AFP. Nagagamit po ba or sapat po ba ito para doon sa pagbibigay ng malinis na
I'm sure kasama po yan sa kanilang kasama sa package na inihanda nila para sa lugar na yan. Yung filtration units and stuff like that. It wasn't, there was just a general mention of the things available, but I'm sure that's part of the package.
Okay, AC Nichols?
Hi, sir. Going back to the arbitral ruling anniversary na, sir, tomorrow.
Yes.
A year after we got that ruling na favoring the Philippines, some fishermen in certain areas like Zambales are saying na hindi pa rin daw po nagbabago yung situation nila dahil nahihirapan pa rin sila dun sa pangingisda nila because they're also afraid na maharas. What are we doing to help these fishermen, sir?
I hear what you're saying, but basically we have the second meeting coming up between the bilateral meets, and I'm sure items like that will be considered. However, it's excellent that we're now in dialogue with the other country.
Okay, thank you. MPC, questions? Okay, thank you, Presidential Spokesperson Ernesto Abella. Thank you, Presidential Advisor on the Peace Process, Secretary Jesus Dureza. Thank you, Malacañang Press Corps. Back to our main studio sa Radyo Pilipinas and PTV.